Now, here's where we're going to talk about some Thomann specific stuff. I buy a lot of stuff from Thomann. The Harley Benton guitars. I've started buying some of the older Gibson or the leftover Gibsons from 2015, 2016. And Thomann's one of my favorite vendors to deal with worldwide. They ship everywhere. Their shipping is very economical. They've got a great reputation and they're really great to deal with. So, but because of that, that's also where I've had the most experience with the changes, right? When you get to go there and you no longer can order certain things. First thing I say is contact Thomann directly if you have any questions on this. This is not binding information. I'm not authorized to speak officially for them. Nothing like that. This is just stuff that I have from experience on a couple of orders I have now in flight that were affected by this. For orders accepted before January 2nd, 2017, which is when things became official on this new regulation, anything that has Rosewood that Thomann has committed to actually still delivering to you. I know I got an email that said, hey, we got your order. This is awesome. Here's the challenge we have. Due to this regulation, it's going to take us up to 3 weeks to get a permit. Would you want to keep your order? I did say I wanted to keep it, so they're now going through the permit process and to go through it. I know that they grandfathered some lower end ones, but actually going forward, Thomann isn't going to export any Rosewood guitars, at least as I say today, that are valued under €1,000. And I can be empathetic because I believe it's a bunch of paperwork and time and everything to go through this process, so it doesn't make economical sense for them to do that for every guitar they sell, especially the $100 and $200 range of the Harley Bentons. And once again, that takes 3 weeks for them to get these certifications. So only 3 weeks though. US was 2 to 3 months, so obviously the Germans are better at this than those of us in the United States. It's my German accent. That was an attempt. Huh. So anyway, so that's there. It also doesn't affect certain non-Rosewood containing guitars. So I know that there are actually some SC550s, the XT22s, and the CST24 non-trem. All don't have Rosewood. They either have Ebanol in the CST, or they have a thing called Roseacer, Roseacer, which is a variety of maple actually, that's popping up in a couple of their guitars. Presently, there's sort of a bug where certain countries' version of seeing that guitar, when you go look at it, will tell you it has Roseacer versus other ones will say that it has Rosewood. So I've reached out to Thomann and tried to get clarification and maybe pointed out this to them. But maybe this was Thomann being smart and preparing at least from subsequent runs of guitars to move into this new fretboard. Looks like Rosewood, but it's got definitely a tighter grain pattern, not as many pores from what we've seen. So anyway, that's kind of the Thomann detail. It does affect Harley Bentons, and remember, it also affects guitars with skunk stripes. So that really nice Fiesta Red Strat with a maple neck, if it's got a skunk stripe on the back, it's Rosewood usually, and they're not going to export it to you. Sorry. I'll have a video coming up more covering all the Thomann details, and also try and get a list of here's what they can seem to export today and here's what they can't. That'll be coming up hopefully by the weekend, give or take. Now, speculation. These are not facts. From here on forward, everything I've said before is facts, either about fact statements or facts with how people have said that they were going to handle things. When we get to speculation, these are things of like, what's this really going to do to the guitar industry? How's it going to work? What's happening here? What does it mean for the future? So here's the deal. Anytime there's more restrictions on some sort of substance, like Rosewood, it's probably going to get more expensive. It's not just in the cost of the Rosewood, which you got to imagine all those furniture companies in China that are making these things still need they still have customers, they still have market. They're going to still keep trying to buy the Rosewood, probably drive the price up. Rosewood's not a huge percentage of the cost of a guitar today, but if that jumps a couple orders of magnitude, then you're going to realize they're going to find other solutions there. But also the time. If you have as I know, a couple vendors here in the States that buy their stuff from overseas you might have a whole container of guitars that can't get out of China unless all the guitars on there are certified as being CITES, or however you pronounce it, compliant. So now if you've got a longer period of time from when you can order something to when you receive it, it drives the cost up of those things because time is money. You've tied up capital either in the production side of having those guitars sit there, or on the receiving side if you've already paid for them, of just waiting 3 months to do anything with your money. In the near term, this might actually cause something interesting. If I have 500 guitars that I've been sitting on for 6 months, I haven't been able to sell. I finally get them here to sell them. I may want to blow them out cheap just to recoup some money and keep cash flowing. So there may be some deals. Who knows? Just a thought. The other thing is, are all the low-cost producers that we're buying guitars from today, some of the Benton factories or Agile or the Chipsons or whoever, are they buying legitimate mahogany, legitimate Rosewood in their guitars? Who knows? now they'll find out where they're sourcing it from, and that may cause some challenges for those companies. In import-export hassle, especially in the low end, if it's a big hassle to ship, import, certified low-end guitars, you'll probably see less low-end guitars and kind of see the floor come up from the bottom of the market, which is a bummer because we're in the golden era, at least right now. Maybe it's ending. Who knows? Don't know. But the golden era of inexpensive quality guitars. We'll see. I think you're going to see a lot more faux woods like Ebonol, which used to be like a dirty word. People are like, oh, I want a real Ebony. I don't want that Ebonol crap reconstituted black wood. Well, now, no, maybe you want Ebonol on a guitar that would have normally had a rosewood neck or regular ebony. You also see woods like, as I said, ebony, granadillo, which Gibson used for a while on their fretboards, which looks a lot like rosewood, and then roasted maple or this rosacer variety on fretboards. A different feel, maybe slightly different tonality to it, but it would be compliant. It would save them any of these import-export restrictions. I think you're going to see your legit small to mid sizes, your Agiles or your Reville guitars, or maybe your Dilly and that kind of stuff, getting impacted kind of the most painful because they're relatively small. Each shipment they've got to worry about, the hassles, import-export stuff, cash and time tied up, I think will impact the bottom line there. And I wouldn't be surprised if you see either less companies doing it in scale and more really small. I think maybe the Gibsons, the Epiphones of the world, maybe the Fenders, this will be a huge hassle, but I think they've got the size and the scale, and I think for Gibson, it's they've already gotten in trouble with their rosewood purchasing in the past, so I imagine their I's are dotted and their T's are crossed, as it is today. So I can see that having, I can see how they may actually make it through this better than some of the other ones. The last interesting thing is, what about the little guys? If I sell a guitar today and ship it to Japan, I'm still relied upon to make sure that it's certified. But looking at just the sheer amount of work it's going to be on customs, do we think that they're going to do that and be able to do that regularly and routinely? Or do you think most of them will go through and they'll pull a couple ones just to rattle the sabers? Same way for like the small Japanese vintage sellers, things like that, where everything is obviously pre any regulation. I'm waiting to hear back on some of those guys and if they're just going to let things fly. And I think it would happen kind of like how the Chibsons and the custom Chinese stuff. I think you're going to see a lot of small vendors take the risk until they start seeing the pain. And who knows when that'll actually come in, and who knows if customs will start trying to make examples of things. I don't know. So anyway, there's a lot of stuff here. Hopefully this was useful. Sources below, there's a great Reverb article, which did one of the best jobs just summarizing it from the guitar perspective. There's also a link to some global resources so you can figure out how this is applied in your own area of the world. There's the application on the U.S. and Wildlife app for the people in the U.S. to import-export or to export stuff. And then there's also the update that they put out from the U.S. and Wildlife Service. So, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Anyway, I've been Nick in the States. I know this was long. Hopefully it was interesting. Stay tuned. I'll have an update on stuff it looks like we can still buy from Thomann. And I will try to get everything, share as much as I can as the information comes in. As always, I've been Nick in the States. Whew, yeah, boy do I have issues. Take care, folks.